You would be just turning 32. You're right.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minions with me this evening are Tyr
What up?
and Adam.
How's it going?
And as I am the keeper for this evening, because it is a Friday, but not the first Friday of the month, and not next Friday, because next Friday I'm also not here, so suck it. I'm the keeper for this evening, Sanguine. How are both of you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
That's good to hear. And how about you, Adam?
Pickles.
Did you just say pickles?
No. I'm not sure what I
Adam's
said.
gone mad.
Yeah, I've gone mad. Grr.
He's gone mad.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Happy Friday.
But
Hmm.
had a good time. I didn't make any dinner tonight because
What?
Tuesday was my birthday, so
Oh, hey, happy
family
birthday.
came up to visit, and
Happy birthday.
I've been going out to eat the past few days. So tonight's dinner was going out to a pub that has a fantastic selection of whiskeys and having a fair number of whiskeys while I was out.
Well, okay, so what did you have for your birthday dinner?
My birthday dinner on Tuesday, I went to my favorite Chinese food place in the area, which is the most authentic Chinese food that I've had outside of China. I had
Nice.
Succulent Chinese meal?
a succulent Chinese dinner. I unfortunately wasn't able to get one of the things that I wanted. They have a tea smoked duck, and the tea smoked duck is absolutely insane. I love the tea smoked duck. But
Okay.
unfortunately, there was a massive. This is the reason that we came up with. There was a massive party of 15 that had scheduled at the sister restaurant, but then they showed up at our restaurant and they wanted the reservation for the other restaurant honored at this restaurant, even though they aren't the same fucking restaurant. They're just sister locations.
That's stupid.
So a 15 top rolled in shortly before us. We're blaming them, saying that they ordered the last of the tea smoked duck because the tea smoked duck had run out. So rather than being able to get the tea smoked duck, we had to swap it out, and we got chestnut chicken instead. But really good meal. We had Szechuan jiaozi, we had Shanghai baozi, we had house beef rolls, which are kind of like Peking duck rolls, only with thinly sliced beef instead of duck. And then our mains were the chestnut chicken, guobao roll, and a house spicy beef.
Okay.
Really fucking good meal. Absolutely delicious. So I had a great birthday dinner, and then I have my favorite birthday cake as well, which is a car bomb cake. It's Guinness chocolate cake with whiskey ganache, chocolate whiskey ganache rather, and Bailey's Irish cream frosting. It is
That looks tasty.
Oh, it is delicious, and with the amount of alcohol that we pack into the frosting and the ganache, if you eat too large of a slice and you're kind of a lightweight, you will get drunk.
Okay.
Off a ganache?
Off the cake, yes. You will get drunk eating my birthday cake.
Whoa.
Because it's
Eat a piece
good
of
bit.
gabagool and a piece of ganache.
It's a good bit of a whiskey bottle into the ganache, and it's the majority of a bottle of Bailey's into the frosting. So it has a good number of shots within that cake. It is absolutely delicious. I love that cake. And then, like I said, the subsequent nights been having fantastic dinners as well. And tonight's dinner was the Irish pub with a really good whiskey menu and a fair few numbers of whiskey. So that's the reason why. That's the reason why I didn't make dinner tonight, because I went out to eat.
All right.
Though also as another little birthday present, my mum bought me a hunk of Wagyu for me to make this week.
Nice.
So going to have that on a bowl of rice probably Sunday.
Nice.
It'll be absolutely delicious. But yeah, other than that, everything's been going well. I have work again tomorrow, which kind of sucks, but oh well. And then I have a long weekend next week.
Okay. Yes, I will be filling in for you for the next 2 weeks.
Yep. The end of this month and then the first of next month, because
Yes.
the first of every month I'm away. And next week I'm also going to be busy.
It will get double. I mean, double.
Yep.
Means and cents. So be afraid.
But yeah, other than that, nothing new on my end.
Okay.
Also, my present is going to be I got an expansion to my weight set, which is nice.
That's nice.
So I'll be able to lift heavier things and pick them up and put them down.
So did you hear about the Jimmy Kimmel shit?
Yeah, I heard the Kimmel shit, and I heard the people absolutely losing their minds and saying that this is the death of freedom of speech, just like they did around Colbert.
Wow. Freedom of speech tends to die a lot.
Yeah, apparently. So around Colbert, it was the end of freedom of speech because they kept on saying, oh, it was Trump that caused them to get rid of Colbert, when Colbert was hemorrhaging money.
And so is Kimmel.
That's kind of where I heard the weight go, where it was like the FCC kind of just gave them an opening to get rid of him because a lot of local stations were saying, hey, we don't want him on our, station, but we have to put him on the. I mean, that's old school broadcasting,
So there's a video by Legal Mindset. It isn't on this. It's on the proposed bill that they're trying to push through or not push through yet, but the bill that they're trying to propose through Pam Bondi about the terms that should be strictly defined, and if you use them when they don't apply, you should immediately open yourself up to lawsuit.
Okay.
A good example is they're trying to make it so that you can't just call someone a Nazi.
Yeah.
They have to either identify as a Nazi or be an actual member of the Nazi party in order for you to call them a Nazi. Shit like that.
Finally. I can't be called the Nazi. We won't stop them, though.
Legal Mindset did a really good video on that about how he thinks that Pam Bondi is completely unfit for the job of putting forward the right type of legislation for that.
Yeah, she's fucking...
She's not brilliant. She's loyal.
She needs to shut her mouth more.
Yeah. She's not brilliant. She's loyal, and that isn't.
I don't think she's loyal. I think she's he wanted Gates, but Gates came with a shit ton of fucking baggage. She was a second stringer. She was the runner up.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, like I said, Legal Mindset has a really good video on that. And one of the things that he goes into during that video is a discussion of the mechanisms that are already in place for a lot of the things that people are saying that they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ones that he brings up is morality clauses in contracts. They already exist. So if pretty much every contract that you sign where it's businesses agreeing to work with each other or agreeing to contract someone or hire someone, there's a section within the contract saying, yeah, if you end up being so radioactive that it damages our reputation just working with you, we're not going to work with you anymore. And that was what a lot of the local stations were coming back to them with, because when they heard Kimmel's remarks, where he was effectively trying to justify the assassination and then push the same lies that resulted in the assassination,
Mm-hmm.
a bunch of the local providers came back and went, hey, us agreeing to air your shit is making us look bad, so we're going to stop airing your shit if you keep him on board. So you had a bunch of the local stations coming through saying that they didn't want to air Kimmel anymore. You had a shit ton of complaints from people around the country saying that Kimmel's comments were disgusting because, again, he functionally tried to justify and condone the assassination while also spreading the same lies that led to the assassination.
Well, all right. Honestly, it's a twofold attack. All the late shows are hemorrhaging money.
Yep.
They're over. Kimmel and all of them are overpriced hacks who aren't bringing in new audiences and justifying the expenditure. So it's a twofold issue that they solved with one big move.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you said this shit, and they don't want you here. And we have a very convenient patsy, the FCC. They're not gonna fucking dispute it. FCC told them to do it. Oh well.
Yeah, what it is that you have a bunch of the local stations saying we aren't going to air your shit, which will eat into their profit margins. The shows already weren't profitable. You have a bunch of complaints from random citizenry saying this was disgusting, you need to punish it. And you have the fact that they weren't very profitable to begin with. So it all worked out that they were going, okay, there's really no loss to this. There's no downside to getting rid of him because every single thing is pointing in the direction of keeping him is damaging our reputation.
Yeah.
What do you think that says about like the tone of their content? You know, what they're creating out there for the masses.
I think it's the same thing that we've been saying with other media. That what they're doing is, rather than meeting the audience where they are, they're trying to make a new audience. And they're trying to effectively gaslight everyone into thinking that what they make for the new audience is good, And they do that by having that be the only show that's allowed, effectively. And having all the critics come out and talk about how great what's going on is. And they have all the intelligentsia and the political and media class come out and talk about how this is fantastic. They're doing the right thing. This is what people should be watching.
Yeah, but that's still, honestly, that's so, that hasn't worked yet.
Yeah, it hasn't worked, but it's what they've been trying to do, and that's why a lot of this is falling on its face, because the modern audience that they keep on trying to appeal to, that they keep on trying to say that's who they're making this for, doesn't fucking exist.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, they gotta exist somewhere, right? No?
Well, all right. So
you
in
never people's stages in...
They're pulling this from something.
Like I said,
it's Rupert Murdoch. Remember, BlackRock CEO. You have to force the behaviors you want, and that's what they're doing.
Who is sitting there saying, "Hey, you know, it's a good idea." I don't know. Pick your choice, you know, and then all of a sudden, you know. But they have like clubs and groups and.
But see, the problem is the modern audience doesn't have money.
There's the old idea of the long march through the institutions.
Oh, right.
Which is a term that was used to describe the then communist, mainly Soviet Union, trying to infect and undermine the institutions and thus the society of Western nations.
Mm-hmm.
We ended up winning the Cold War, but we ended up winning while being poisoned.
Walmart poisoned?
Because the long march through the institutions already started. And we didn't purge it. Then
we allowed the rot to set in.
We had other nations pick up where the USSR left off. So the USSR wasn't doing the long march anymore, but the Chinese picked up where they left off. Various other nations that wanted to see the impoverishment of spirit that it was meant to cause within the United States started to pick up. You had the ideologues that are communist and socialist ideologues. They continued to support it. You have a slew of different people that all thought that they would benefit from it one way or another, that sought to continue pushing for it. And that's where a lot of it comes from. It comes from this slow march through the institutions. Which is why one of the things that I always recommend is, if you're actually concerned about this shit, then vote for your small local elections. Make sure that people with good heads on their shoulders are on your education board. If no one has a good head on their shoulders at the education board, find them.
Shit. I'll show you this shit, Simon. This, speaking of education boards.
Mm-hmm.
I found this scrolling through Twitter.
Let's see.
Hold on, let me pull it out. It's only like a minute long.
Yep. Just waiting for it to be shared.
All right, there it is.
Yep.
Ranting. I'm a parent in the Davis Unified School District, and I'm here today to talk about
Can't hear it.
in the
Uh,
junior high schools. So
it's high to go.
Harper Junior High. Right
Okay,
now
so it's just very soft. Let me
to undress for PE
turn
class.
down
So
a couple things on
I'm
my
just
end.
going to give you an idea what that looks like when I undress. So right now, this school district is saying that depending on a child's transgender identity, that they can pick which bathroom they want. So we have, right now at this school district, we have children self-identifying into different bathrooms just based off of their.
No, you cannot.
What the
I have my
fuck?
bathing suit on. Excuse me. This
She
is
she
allowed.
she is giving them a visual demonstration of what the
You
fuck's
are
happening.
violating my
Yep.
First Amendment right. I am putting on my
You are
PE uniform.
And it's just like remember the reading the book. Oh, you can't read that here. That's inappropriate. So if it's inappropriate here, why is it appropriate in a school?
Yeah, why is it appropriate in a first grade class?
Yes, like how is that appropriate? And I hate the fact that people say, "Oh, they're banning books." No, if you want to go buy your kid the book, go buy your kid the fucking book.
Yep.
It's not gonna be read in class though.
Yeah, what they're doing is they're saying there are certain books that the school should not be providing to students without the parent's go ahead. That there's certain material that shouldn't be considered part of coursework because it is not fit for the grade level. Like, it would be kind of fucked up if for a first grade class you were doing the entirety of the Iliad.
Yes.
It doesn't work for first grade. You have to do
Or
that
you were
later
reading
on.
Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
Yep.
Like again, even though it's fairly short, it is inappropriate for the subject matter.
Yep.
You know?
So you have to match the subject matter with the grade level that you're talking about and that you're teaching. But yeah, like I was saying, make sure that you get good people on your school boards. If there aren't good people, find good people, get them to run for the school board, and then vote for them. If you're at all interested in education and you aren't insane and you think that a lot of insane people have gone into education, go into education. That way, there's someone more sensible in education. If you have issues with the way that schools are handling things, make your voice heard about that.
Yep. Well, nowadays they censor you.
Yep, make your voice heard or vote with your wallet, vote with your feet. If your school board is shit and you have the ability to move out of the area to a better school system, move.
Yep.
Or there's the example of, was it the Baton Rouge?
Form your own fucking city.
Yeah, they formed their own city because they asked if they could have a school county made in their area.
Yeah.
And
a school board.
Well, it was a county. They wanted their own schools. They wanted their own school board. They wanted to be a separate county.
Yeah.
And they were denied. So they went, fuck it. We're going to make our own city then, because then you can't deny us our own school board.
And Baton Rouge the mayor of Baton Rouge was pissed because she couldn't do anything.
They were pissed. They tried to call it racism. They tried to denounce it as something horrible when it was just an area of the city that paid something like 60-some% of their overall taxes
and that's why she was pissed. Or
Well,
they were losing a major tax base.
It just kind of begs the question: why are they upset that these people are trying to do this act? And it's like
money.
yeah, and what I find funny is, and this goes to a lot of you older folk who sit there and let me tell you, blah 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 blah. It's like, look, these people were doing this right in front of your fucking eyes, and you did nothing. You didn't sit there and be like, hey, why is it that you guys are challenging people from not paying taxes? What are you doing with the taxes to begin with? What's going on here? No, they were like, oh, well, as long as I can sit there and turn up the football game and enjoy my Cheez-Its and whatnot. And
why did you immediately go into a
Wisconsin accent?
I don't know, because
no, it was straight up da Bears.
Da Bears. It's where I'm from, dude. It's like, it's the go-to fucking relaxed dude. Relaxed dude is, I'm gonna be sitting there in my recliner with a beer in my hand.
You sound like from your Wisconsin, don't you know?
Gonna watch the Bears.
Well, don't you know? I think isn't that Minnesota?
Don't you know is certain parts of Minnesota, yes.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Now,
I think it's
betcha.
it's a Canadian thing, isn't it?
A Kanakastani.
Yeah,
No.
it's a seeping from Canada. Wow.
No, they're Kanakastanis.
Let me just sneak right past you there, bud. That is not Canadian. That is just pure Midwest.
Well, don't you know?
I'm saying the Ope. Let me just scooch right past you there, bud. That is pure Midwest. You know, that is Minnesota. Certain parts of Minnesota. It's mainly out in the boonies, Minnesota, but it's certain parts of Minnesota.
Yeah, don't you know?
It's out in the sticks.
Yeah. And it got popularized by Fargo.
Oh, okay.
The movie.
You've never seen Fargo?
I've seen Fargo.
Yeah, Fargo is a classic.
Oh.
But yeah, that's where a lot of it got spread from. It got spread from Fargo.
But it's all in fucking insane. All this shit is bullshit. These people are fucking retards.
Yep.
And I'm glad we're taking out country back.
Yeah.
Like how can you count? Go ahead.
I do agree with, like I referenced earlier, the video by Legal Mindset on this was very well done. And he was very specific and very careful in order to explain what he believes should be done. And I'm in a fair bit of agreement with him that it should be, we need to make sure that when we define the terms, when we try to make a law, we do so in such a way that it is explicit in what it is covering. It doesn't have the
room for interpretation.
Borders. It doesn't have the room for interpretation. It is, if you call someone a Nazi, you can call them a Nazi and have it not be defamation if they identify as a member of the Nazi Party or were a member of the Nazi Party, or they have called themselves Nazis.
Shit, I call myself a racist all the time, so I guess I can't get defamation for being called a racist.
Yeah, but having things like that, where it is very specific and limited in what it is talking about, because you don't want to have it where you can't insult people. free speech would be dead if the law was you can't insult people.
Well, it should be limited to broadcast. It should be limited to news broadcasts and shit like that, unless you're stating this is, in my opinion, not actual news. Like if you say shit like that, then it should be covered.
Like I said, when it comes down to the way that I think it should be done, it should be very specific. What terms are going to be considered immediate slander and libel? Because if you're calling someone a Nazi and they haven't identified as a Nazi and they aren't a member of the Nazi party, they aren't a fucking Nazi. Now, certain other terms, there's more wiggle room for because they don't define a specific thing. But when it comes to certain terms, again, Nazi being a really good example, it should be laid down. You shouldn't just be able to say that anyone you don't like is a Nazi and be able to get away with, well, it's my opinion that they're acting like Nazis. No, that has an actual meaning. Nazis have a meaning. They're ethno-fascists. And unless they're moving for ethno-fascism, by the way, fascism has a fucking meaning as well. It isn't just anything I don't like. It is believing that everything is subservient to the state, that nothing is outside the state, that everything is within the state. It is a system meant to end in a end of history that is a classless end of history. The main complaint that the fascists had against the socialists was that the socialists wanted to dissolve the state because most schools of socialism are globalist schools of socialism. And the fascists said that if you dissolve the state, you have no ability to actually unify the classes. And also the way that they are trying to get rid of classes is the dumbest fucking way. We've seen it happen before. French Revolution. If you kill all the people that know how to do the job, you don't have anyone that knows how to do the job anymore. Don't just kill them. What you do is you make it so that all the people that know how to do the job become workers for the state. And then you have everyone learn from them until you've blurred the lines enough that there's no way of defining what the classes are. It's just everyone is a worker for the state. That's what fascism is about.
I can't wait to. I hate to. It's going to sound rather mean and harsh when I say this, but I can't wait for South Africa to have fucking food shortages and starvation because they're taking all the farmland from the white farmers who've been farming this land for fucking ever, who know what they're doing, and giving it to people that don't know what the fuck they're doing.
The Zimbabwe 2.0ing it.
Yeah, like it is literally, you're going to starve your nation. And then you're going to beg for assistance. And I don't think America should give them anything. I think they should let them fucking stew.
Yeah, it's going Zimbabwe 2.0. And Zimbabwe is currently begging people to return to Zimbabwe.
Oh, shit. Zimbabwe 2.0.
Yeah. Well, you know the story about Zimbabwe, right?
Yeah.
And Terry, you know the story of Zimbabwe, right?
No.
Okay, so Zimbabwe used to not be called Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe used to be Rhodesia. Rhodesia was a white apartheid state where only those of white English descent were allowed to actually hold positions of power.
Okay.
It was fucked up. It shouldn't have been a apartheid state. That isn't really the point of the matter. What was the case, though, was farmers, just like in South Africa, were majority white. Rhodesia was overthrown by a collection of various communist and socialist militias and anti-government forces.
So standard bullshit.
Yep, overthrown. The people that were outside of Rhodesia when this happened ended up becoming a stateless people.
Okay.
Because their passports and shit like that said that they were from Rhodesia. Rhodesia didn't exist anymore. Their passports weren't considered valid anymore in large stretches of the world. A bunch of people decided that they were going to open up their nations and allow the Rhodesians that were within their country to become a part of the country that they were in, or allow them to return to now Zimbabwe, depending on which way they wanted to go.
All right.
So the government of Zimbabwe got into power, and they immediately started stripping all the land from white people within Zimbabwe, which meant that they stripped all the farmland from white people. They then redistributed that land. Before Zimbabwe, when it was still Rhodesia, Rhodesia was a breadbasket of Africa. And let's see, WCW did complain that why is everyone changed the channel when Tony said Mick Foley is winning the title tonight, and after that they lost them. Okay, I'm not really someone that follows wrestling, at least not currently. But I'm sure someone who follows wrestling will know exactly what you're talking about.
All right, so during the Monday Night Wars,
how's it going, brother Khan?
When the two companies, WCW and WWF, were competing for eyeballs, essentially.
Yep.
Believe the owner, Art Bischoff, let it slip that Mick Foley was going to win the title in, I think, the pay-per-view match, and everybody turned from WCW to WWF, and really that's how they fucking won the Monday Night Wars. Art Bischoff really killed his company.
Oh, he did it by letting the open secret no longer be an open secret. He just stated it. That makes sense.
He essentially gave away the game plan, and people yeah.
Because just like everyone knows that a murder mystery will be solved at the end of an episode for a standard detective show. It kind of sucks if someone, when the season finale is about to start, goes, by the way, this is who the murderer is.
Well, it's kind of like an open secret that the murderer is usually the most famous guest star.
Yep. That's kind of the open secret, but just someone coming out and saying, yep, they're the murderer. It spoils.
Yeah. So, and that's that's literally how the Monday Night Wars ended.
Okay.
And they never recovered. Like our Bischoff eventually got WCW bought out.
Mm-hmm.
And he moved to WWF.
He
killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he didn't kill himself, but you know what I mean. He killed his company.
Yep. But going back to what I was saying. So
yes.
They pulled back all the land. When it was Rhodesia, it was the breadbasket of Africa. When they removed all the land, redistributed it, and then gave it back to the indigenous people. So they gave it just to black people. No white person was allowed to own land. The productivity of the land plummeted, because turns out that if you give farmland to a bunch of people that have never farmed, they don't know how to farm, and you don't get much. So the country started starving. Also, ridiculous monetary policy. They tried to fix prices throughout the country and then print a massive amount of money which meant that they had hyperinflation on the international market, and meant that they couldn't really buy fucking anything from outside of Zimbabwe, causing a massive issue for a good long while. They ended up having to change their currency in order to be able to trade again, effectively.
Shit, that's how Venezuela is currently, right? Like, they have massive hyperinflation.
Yep.
Where a bottle, regular gallon of milk costs like millions of dollars. Like millions of their dollars. Which, and their millions of dollars is worth less than the paper it's printed on.
Yep. It is at a point where you buy things by the weight and value of the weight of the paper that it's printed rather than the currency. Zimbabwe went so ridiculous that it has the, what was it, $1 trillion note?
Is that a thing?
The $1 trillion Zimbabwean note.
Zimbabwe.
Again, they did it to themselves. And I kind of think that's could have been our fate had.
I massively undersold it. So it is not a $1 trillion. It is a 100 trillion.
God damn.
Dollar Zimbabwean banknote. Let me see if I can screen share this. I need to get it in the right window, but I can show you guys. My father actually has one of these framed in the family home's living room.
Could you imagine making change for that when someone wants $10 of gas? So, I mean, again, the paper printed on it's not even worth it. So essentially, it would.
This is what it looked like.
Like like our dollar is literally a trillion, like way more than. What is the current? Hold on, let me see the conversion rate.
Yeah, what is it?
It was during the hyperinflation that this happened. They've gotten past the hyperinflation, but yeah, during the hyperinflation, they had a $100 trillion banknote. And that's what it looked like. Only without the alamis from the imaging service that had a picture of it.
Exchange rate.
But yeah, the
Jesus fucking Christ. One Zimbabwean dollar is worth 0.0031. It is less than a penny. So if we were to do a single dollar to theirs.
And I think you're currently talking about the current exchange rate, right?
Yeah, the current exchange rate. Let me see.
So $1. The 100 trillion or Zimbabwean dollar note that I just showed you, at the time that it was printed, was $150.
Jesus Christ, Sanguine, our dollar is worth 322 of their dollars.
Yeah, that's with the current exchange rate. Like I said, the old exchange rate, that 100 trillion Zimbabwean note was worth $150.
Shit. Granted, it's not worth a whole fucking lot, but damn. Calculate.
So yeah, the exchange rate, in order to figure out how much one Zimbabwean dollar was in U.S. currency during the height of their hyperinflation, it is best expressed in scientific notation.
Damn.
because it was 1.5 times 10 to the negative 11th.
Clown. Hold on, clown. So $5 in Zimbabwe. I'm a man. I'm the man on everything. Yes.
Yeah, you have a shit ton more money in Zimbabwe with U.S. currency.
Because with $5, damn. Yeah. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have that much. You have $1,610 Zimbabwean funny money.
But yeah, that was the hyperinflation. And like I said, they ended up with a bout of starvation. Their food production absolutely collapsed because turns out that if you kill or expel everyone that knows how to do a job, no one knows how to do the job.
Nope.
This has been something that has been known since at least the French Revolution. The first one where they tried this, they tried it several times just to make sure that it wasn't a fluke the first time. Each time it turned out that, yeah, if you kill everyone that knows how to do the job, no one knows how to do the job. Which is where the U.S. Revolution ended up turning out really nice versus the French and the Russian.
Yeah.
Because French and Russian, they killed the people that knew how to do the jobs. Suddenly they're going, oh shit, why doesn't anyone know how to do the jobs? US, we went, okay, we aren't trying to kill everyone, just trying to become free. If you're going to let us be free, if you're going to be willing to work with us after we're free, you're good. You can stay. You can stay in the position that you have, just you have to teach more people how to do it.
Yep.
And turns out that that's the winning strategy when it comes to revolutions. So yeah, Zimbabwe has recently been trying to bring people that left Zimbabwe during its revolution back to Zimbabwe, to get families to come back, to get farmers from other countries to come to Zimbabwe. Because they're still struggling ridiculously.
Oh, well. Again, it sounds mean, but you bring this on yourselves.
Yep. So yeah, now South Africa seems to be trying to do Zimbabwe 2.0.
Zimbabwe 2. Zimbabwe harder.
Mm-hmm.
You thought the first one was bad. Wait till you get loaded this one.
Yep. Yeah, it's frustrating when you see things just keep on being done for the same fucking reason, despite it never working out.
But isn't that the course of human history? Like,
no, most of human history, we've had massive falls, but throughout most of human history, it has been things are getting better over time.
No. What I mean is, people are not taking the lessons from other people and learning the mistakes and repeating them, thinking they'll be different.
To a certain degree, but through the brunt of human history, we have been learning.
All right, let me rephrase that. Modern history, modern time, in the last maybe 100 years, not taking the lessons learned from the last 100 years and repeating those mistakes over and over again. Oh, communism will work after the last 5 billion times it's been tried, and oh no, communism doesn't work this time. Oh no, they never tried true communism. Like, we got to do the real I'm talking about real communism.
I really hate the real communism argument, because if you're going to open up the door to real communism, then you can't try to shut the door on the equally wrong, equally fucked up, equally abhorrent ideology of, well, that wasn't true fascism. Because you've opened that door.
I'm all right. The problem, all right, this is the problem I see with communism in general. It is scale. Hear me out, Sanguine. In small communities where our survival depends on cooperation, communism actually does work. If me growing pumpkins and you growing alfalfa, and we depend on each other, and we have this system where we agree to share, it's perfect, right?
So I will adapt what you said. It can work with a sufficiently small population.
Exactly, but
it doesn't always work. It isn't prone to working. It just doesn't blow up catastrophically.
Yes, but the more you add
100% of the time.
But the more you add distance between us, where I don't know you and I need what you have, where my survival, I'm sorry, say survival, where your survival is like fuck you because I don't know you. It doesn't work because the distance.
Yep.
Again, small groups, it works. I was listening to Tim Pool.
Again, it can work is a better phrasing, because with those small groups, do you know what tends to work even better than that?
What?
Just having a rudimentary market system.
Well, yeah.
Because then you have people that they go, oh, this is what is the most beneficial for us to do. And people will find their niche. They'll do things that are the most beneficial for the small group, the society. Mm-hmm. And the society tends to grow and flourish, which is why capitalism is fucking awesome.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I'm a capitalist, my friend. I will never subscribe to the commie Marxist.
Yeah, I'm not saying you are. I'm just, it's a phrase that annoys me every time that I hear. Well, in a small society, it works. No. In a small society, it can work, and it's not working more efficiently than other systems. It just doesn't collapse painfully in the same way that it does 100% of the time in larger societies.
10 people starving versus 100,000 people starving.
Well, normally, in a small enough society, you don't even really have people starving, because you need to get to a certain population size in order to have the dead weight start to pop up. Okay. Because what's keeping it working in a small enough society is everyone has accountability. So everyone knows that if the watermelons aren't grown, that the one dude who grows watermelons was slacking. And if he didn't come forward and go, oh, there was shit that happened this year that killed off the watermelons, so that's the reason why we don't have them, yeah, it becomes fairly clear that, oh, okay, so there was no justification. Dude was just slacking. And everyone then goes,
I guess he doesn't eat.
He doesn't get our shit because he's just trying to freeload. And that's where it ends up having the ability to kind of survive. You're able to excise the freeloaders much easier on a smaller scale. This is why, hell, Bernie Sanders was kicked out of a communist commune for being too fucking lazy.
What? Sanguine, take that back. My hero Bernie isn't lazy. Yes, he owns like 5 homes, and one day he was saying, we need to go after the billionaires, the millionaires. and then he became a millionaire. You gotta go with the billionaires, you know, the really rich.
Yep.
You know, it isn't a deflection because he's won and he like had 7 books and he blew. He went to Moscow and the breadlines are amazing here.
Dude,
You know,
all you have to do is write a book.
All you have to do
the breadlines.
All you need to do is have a government position, then write a book, and then have all the schools that you partially in charge of getting funding for agree that they're going to buy your book as part of their coursework.
Yeah.
Buy my book. Buy my book.
No shit.
Sorry,
That's got to come back too. Hey, the critic, it's got to come back.
Yes.
Yep.
No,
and
is
suddenly,
fucking John Levitt still working?
You become wealthy. I think John Levitt's still alive.
I hope he is.
Hold on, I think Tier said it was still working, not still alive. Holy shit.
No,
yeah, but he's a comic. It's the same thing. You don't have comics retire. That just means that they're dead.
Yeah. No. Like, has he gone into retirement? Like, there's some old comics who are still doing their thing, and there's some comics who are still, you know, a trillion is still rolling around doing shit.
Lovitz has his own.
He's about 7. He's almost 70. Wow.
Yep.
He has his own comedy club, so he's doing this thing.
Okay.
I hope he's doing great. I like him. He's not one of those comics that, you know, push their beliefs on people.
Yeah.
You know. And he kind of got canceled because he attacked Obama.
Yeah, they did give him some shit for that.
I never got why people liked Obama. He was a snake oil salesman. He always rubbed me as a snake oil salesman.
Wait, hold on. Hope and change. Hope and change, Sanguine. Do you not feel that?
And the only hope I had was that I still had some change in my pocket.
But hope and change.
Yeah, he was a snake oil salesman. I don't get why people didn't see him as a snake oil salesman. I hate the fact that he leaned into his race as a mainstay of his political run. I hate that the Democrats ran with that. I hate that so many people bought into it because that was not a good sign of things to come.
No, it was not.
Not at all.
And it's infuriating because I would put him up there with not quite at the big 3. There's 3 presidents that I think fucked up the U.S. more than
Carter, Biden, and
So no, Carter doesn't actually hit my big 3. I hate fucking Carter though. Carter's like 4
Wilson.
or 5. So the big 3 from the turn of the century to now are Wilson, FDR, LBJ.
All right, fine. Lyndon Baines Johnson with the Great Society and shit. All right.
So I'll go in not necessarily order of severity, but chronological order, because I have a hard time deciding which one goes in position 1 and which one goes in position 2. So you have Wilson, who created all of the racial issues that the U.S. is going through to this day, because Wilson took the U.S., which had already had government officials that were black, who had already started to accept that, yes, black people counted as people, and they should be treated as people. You had a president who, there was the first black postmaster in the South, the area that he was, or that I think it might have even been a she, but the area that they were a postmaster for.
Okay.
Was deep, deep south. And they threw a bitch fit and tried to get them removed from the position of postmaster of the area. Do you know what Teddy Roosevelt's response was?
What?
Teddy Roosevelt's response was, you qualified for the job, you got the job fair and square. They don't want a postmaster? That's not on you. You still get paid as a postmaster. Hey, shitty area down south that is revolting against their postmaster. You guys don't want them as your postmaster? Well, they're the postmaster for the area. So instead, what all of you are going to have to do is rather than getting mail delivered to your area, now the mail is going to be delivered to the surrounding areas. You're going to have to figure out where your mail is and go and collect it, unless you want your postmaster back.
I want to cut in really quickly. I'm sorry. I'm reading this John the Wikipedia article about John Lovitz, and I want to read like his legendary feud with Andy Dick. Sorry, I'm sorry for cutting in. My bad.
Not a problem.
But it's just fucking funny to me. So Lovitz was involved in an intense feud with former news radio co-star Andy Dick concerning the death of their mutual friend Phil Hartman. According to Lovitz, Dick gave Hartman's wife Brianna cocaine at a Christmas party at Hartman's house in '97. Brianna was a recovering addict, began to use drugs again, culminating in her killing Hartman and herself in May of '98. When Lovitz joined the cast of News Radio as Hartman's replacement, he and Dick got into a heated argument, which Lovitz reportedly shouted, "I wouldn't be here if you hadn't given Brianna the coke in the first place." Lovitz later apologized to Dick for the remarks. However, in early 2007, Dick approached Lovitz at a restaurant and said, "I put the Phil Hartman hex on you. You're the next to die." On July 10th of 2007, Lovitz got into a physical altercation with Dick at the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles. Lovitz demanded an apology from Dick, who refused and accused Lovitz of blaming for Hartman's death. Then Lovitz smashed Dick's head into the bar.
Yep.
Woo! Sorry, I just had to read that out. That shit was, oh God.
Yeah, just imagining Lovitz smashing Dick's head into the bar.
Yeah, Andy Dick's head into the bar. Yep. Fuck Andy Dick.
Especially since when you look at Lovitz, you don't think that's a man who is able to bar fight. But then you read that and you're going, well, that's a man who might know how to bar fight.
Yep. That's a man who knows how to fucking throw down.
Yep. But yeah, so Teddy Roosevelt told the area, go fuck yourself, effectively. That's the nation before Wilson ends up coming to power. Also, the KKK didn't exist when Wilson came to power. The KKK hadn't existed since shortly after the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Republicans, when the KKK first popped up, went, nah, we're shutting this shit down. And they pursued them with the might of the federal government. Got them shut down. So then, Woodrow Wilson, he writes a history of the United States. Do you know the interesting thing about Wilson's history of the United States?
He was a racist, and it was all white people did everything.
He removed every single major black figure from his history of the United States. He was also the origin of the Lost Cause, or not the origin, but one of the main proponents of the Lost Cause school of thought, where the South had a point and it was just defeated in the war and humiliated, so its point was lost, but it should have been the one to win. It had noble values at its core. That's what the Lost Cause is.
The War of Northern Aggression, as they call them this out.
Yep. Only dial that up to the nth degree. So, wrote his history, had all that shit. His history then inspired a book. Do you happen to know what that book's name was?
I do believe it's Birth of a Nation.
Nope, the book was The Klansman.
Ah.
Then The Klansman and his history inspired a movie.
That's Birth of a Nation.
That's Birth of a Nation. Birth of a Nation was about to be shut down nationwide because of widespread protest. Do you know what Wilson's response to that was?
He screened it in the White House.
Screened it in the White House, giving it a massive amount of press coverage and making it so that it then became, can a independent movie theater really turn down the movie that was screened at the White House?
Nope.
So while he was in power, he then also looked at Jim Crow laws, which had started popping up in the South, and went, these are fantastic. Let's make them federal. So for the first time in U.S. history, the military became segregated, as well as every level of the federal government. Which then, of course, started all the other shit that came after that, with redlining and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, fucked up as all hell. He was the one who started it. But not quite being done fucking up everything. So, do you know what group was inspired and refounded by the Klansman, Woodrow Wilson's history, and Birth of a Nation?
Let me get the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, the KKK came back after decades of not being a thing. The KKK was a thing again, and it was a thing again due to a book that was inspired by Woodrow Wilson, a movie that was inspired by Woodrow Wilson, and the book that Woodrow Wilson inspired, and his own history.
I have to admit that one of my biggest L's for my favorite president was him splitting the party because of his beef with Taft.
Yep.
It is that bifurcation of the party that Wilson was able to squeak in.
Yep. Yeah, it states that the party got split because had either Taft not run or had Teddy not run, then we wouldn't have had Wilson. But we ended up with Wilson. Wilson did all that shit. So Wilson fucked us over royally on a internal social politics level. Because then everything that started boiling over between the races within the United States effectively originated from Wilson.
Did you see how easily it spills over?
Yeah, it just kept on snowballing.
Yeah.
So then, the second one chronologically was FDR. FDR, if not for the fact of him dying during the war and how stiff the competition was at the time, he would have been recognized as a dictator.
Really?
Oh yeah, he did all kinds of shit that he shouldn't have done. He also fucked us economically, going for ridiculous, virtually socialist, but not quite socialist policies. He was a big fan of socialists of the time as well. But one of the major things that he did was he was one of the people that empowered Keynes in the Keynesian economic school. So, do you guys know that we still to this day destroy tons and tons of excess produce every year?
Yeah.
And we also destroy gallons upon gallons of milk?
Yes.
Do you know why we do that?
No, I do not know why, but I know we do it.
Keynesian price controls.
Okay.
So, Keynes, a economist of the day, thought that by destroying surplus, you would be able to maintain the price point of goods, which would then allow the economy to grow faster. This goes against pretty much every other school of capitalist school of economics at the time, but that was what he believed. He was also one of his ideas, which proponents of his say is characterized as the broken windows school of economics, but it was actually something that he was talking about. Have you ever heard the broken windows school of economics?
No.
So the broken windows school of economics was that if a business's windows are broken, that's actually a benefit for the economy. Because due to the window being broken, that means that that business will now have to hire someone to repair the window, to replace the window, rather, a glazer, right? So they'll hire the glazer will then get paid, and that glazer will then go on to buy things that the glazer needs.
Mm-hmm.
So by the window breaking, you've now made 2 additional movements of money at the very least. There's a major problem with this.
Okay.
Do you know what would have happened had the window not been broken?
What?
The store would have bought something else with the fucking money?
The money would have still moved no matter what.
Yeah.
And the excess money would have still went somewhere else.
Yep. The only thing that would have been different is that that money would have gone to something that it could have gone to growing the business. It could have gone to increasing workers' pay. It could have gone to increasing the variety of stock at the business. There's a score of different things, actually. There's scores of different things that this could have gone to. But instead, what it went to was repairing a window that someone else broke. So, yeah. Keynesian School of Economics, really just bullshit. I hate the Keynesian School of Economics. And FDR was the one who really pushed hard in order to bring the Keynesian School of Economics into vogue. And
he
federal
did.
government is operating under Keynesianism to include, like I said, the destruction of tons of excess produce every year, because it's meant to maintain the price of the produce. So rather than selling cranberries, a shit ton more cranberries for less, they instead destroy hundreds of tons of cranberries every year so that they can then sell fewer cranberries for more, which ends up being less money in the long term. Also, fewer people are able to get cranberries due to that. So, fucked up shit like that. So, Woodrow Wilson fucked us on a social basis. FDR fucked us on an economic basis. Because also there's...
We were just fucked all the way around.
He brought us out of the Depression. That's absolute horseshit. FDR didn't bring us out of the Depression. FDR extended the length of the Depression and almost plunged us into a worse depression. So he saved us? No, that's bullshit. He just fucked us economically, but because people buy he saved us from the Depression, people want to maintain his policies. Also, he saddled us with the ever ballooning and ever less solvent Social Security. program.
That is true.
Okay.
Is a fucking Ponzi scheme to my mind. Because it's money that comes in now from the people paying in now is paid out to the people that their previous payments have matured in the system. They've had enough time in the system that now they get paid out. It's just relying on there always being a sizable overmatch of people paying in and people getting paid out.
It requires what's the word I'm looking for?
A quickly growing
Population,
population, or a quickly growing working population, while a slowly growing senior population. This was at a time when it was already known in research that education and wealth were negatively associated with family size, meaning the more educated and the wealthier you are, typically the smaller family you have.
Mm-hmm.
And that the U.S. was becoming wealthier and more educated.
And that was a bad thing?
It's becoming wealthier and more educated, so the family sizes are shrinking. And you institute a policy that requires a massively expanding population.
Of course.
It's not a bad thing that we became wealthier and more educated. It's a bad thing that you institute a policy that requires an ever-increasing population while you have all the data saying that, yeah, our population is going to slow its growth, not increase its growth. Also, everyone is surviving for a longer period of time, so a larger percentage of the population is going to become senior. So rather than having a rapidly expanding worker population with a slowly growing senior population, they already knew that they were going to have a slowly growing worker population with a rapidly expanding senior population. The exact opposite that the fucking system needed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hi, Keishel.
Okay.
Hey, Keishel. But yeah. That all that clusterfuck of the economy, blame on FDR. And then LB and J kind of went, well, I'm not going to fuck the economy quite as bad as FDR did, and I'm not going to fuck us socially quite as bad as Wilson did. But I'm going to do 50-50.
Yeah, I'm going to ruin race relations for the next 50 years. That's 200 years.
Yeah, he did shit that fucked up us socially for an extended period of time. And he instituted a shit ton of very expensive policies that also fucked our economy. So, yeah, he didn't do as much in either category as the other two. But he did just about as much damage. It just was, he was more diverse in his damage. That's the reason why I hate them. And I hate Carter because Carter ended up killing the nuclear programs because he was a coward.
Well, of course.
And if you want an explanation for that, Carter was in the Navy. Do you know what job he did in the Navy?
Wasn't he a photographer? No.
He worked on a very special type of naval craft.
Submarine?
With a very specific type of engine.
Nuclear.
Yep. So he was a nuclear submariner. He understood how nuclear engines worked. Because if I remember correctly, he was an engineer. So he was an engineer on a nuclear submarine. He knows how that shit works. He knows what's dangerous on them. He had to know what was dangerous on them. So, hey, good deal. 3 Mile Island happens in the U.S. Are you guys familiar with 3 Mile Island?
Yeah.
Yep.
3 Mile Island was one of the nuclear disasters that people point to. It wasn't really a nuclear disaster. What happened is that one of the systems failed at 3 Mile Island. And before anyone could have possibly noticed that one of the systems failed at 3 Mile Island, the backup system had fixed the problem.
Okay.
There was a small amount of radiation leak between when the system failed and when the backup system immediately fixed it, which released a puff of radioactive gas, effectively. Do you know how much radiation was in that radioactive gas?
No.
3 transatlantic flights.
Okay. And he went apeshit.
If you fly from New York to London to New York to London, you have just received the same amount of radiation as was released during 3 Mile Island. It was nothing.
Okay.
That is nothing to be worried about. The fact that the redundancy systems kicked in, the backup systems kicked in, and fixed the problem before anyone could have even realized that there was a problem, should have been one of the, like, holy shit, our systems are amazing selling points. Because, yeah, we had something go wrong. But when it went wrong,
they were able to fix it.
Our system, without anyone having to interfere, fixed it. And then what the engineers at 3 Mile Island did was, when they noticed that, oh, shit, this thing flagged that something went wrong and that a backup system took over. Let's shut down that reactor to figure out what went wrong and if any damage was done.
It all sounds like Wall-E.
Kinda. But it was, they shut down the reactor. They checked out the reactor. There was no problem with the reactor. It was a momentary system failure. It was one of the coolant rods, if I remember correctly, had an issue. Momentary system failure. It was resolved. Good to go. No long-term issue. No threat of meltdown. Everything was resolved. So, Carter was president at this time. People found out about this because people that were nearby ended up hearing the radio chatter from the nuclear plant when they were going, oh, shit, looks like something went wrong in this reactor. Let's shut it down and figure out what happened. We might have had a small amount of radiation leak. People heard that over the radio, lost their fucking minds, thought that it was going to be Chernobyl. So, Carter, president, gets briefed on important things. He gets all the information from the 3 Mile Island incident. He worked on reactors. He knew that, oh, this was nothing. One of his aides that was in with him when this happened even said that he saw it, went, oh, this is nothing. Carter then goes on the news, and rather than saying, this was nothing, this is absolutely nothing to fear, in fact, this is something that we should be celebrating because our backup systems are so fucking good that they kicked in and resolved the issue before we could even realize that there was an issue. That's amazing. That's what you want. Rather than doing that, he went on and talked about how people were right to be afraid. How there are dangers with nuclear energy. How we need to make sure that these dangers are addressed. Never does he mention that the backup system solved the problem before anyone realized there was one. He just goes on and on about how it makes sense to be afraid. You're right to be scared. And he effectively killed U.S. nuclear power plants because he fed into the fear. Rather than just going, I worked on these when I was in the Navy. Because he was still well liked. He wasn't a good president. Even at the time, people didn't think he was a good president. But he was well liked. And people saw him as an honest man.
Mm-hmm.
If he had come out and said, I worked on these, I know what I'm looking at when I was looking over the information, this is nothing to be scared of. In fact, this is something that we should be celebrating because that was really fucking awesome. Our safety mechanisms were so good that they kicked in immediately. And before we even realized there was a problem, it had already been resolved.
What you should have told him was calm your tits. It's fine.
Yeah. And to this day, we have ridiculous worries about nuclear power. And people still bring up 3 Mile Island as if it is in the realm of Chernobyl. It's nowhere near Chernobyl. As if it's in the realm of Fukushima. Fukushima, again, a situation that shouldn't really be seen as a danger of nuclear power plants. The fucking thing was hit by an earthquake and then a tsunami.
Yeah.
And one reaction chamber was damaged. And the way that they increased the death toll, because when you look up the death toll of the Fukushima incident, you'll see some 1,000 deaths in the Fukushima incident. Do you know how they figured that out?
How?
It was all the people that died from the moment that the tsunami impacted Fukushima through the evacuation of the surrounding area.
That whole time?
Really?
Yep. There was 5 or 6 people that actually died within the power plant when it happened. There were 5 people that were crushed by the tsunami. And then I think there was 1 person that ended up getting injured by effectively a radioactive steam cloud from the tsunami water hitting the reactor and damaging the chamber. And those were the deaths. But then they include all of the evacuation. So I'd say that all 3 or all 6 of those, it's really hard to say that, well, those are deaths due to nuclear power plants because
there were other factors in play.
Dying due to being crushed by a tsunami. Tsunamis are not a factor of nuclear power plants.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
I mean, they're just as destructive, right?
dying due to steam burns from the tsunami waters hitting a very hot section of a power plant is not something that is limited to just nuclear power plants either. That's any type of power plant. If it hits the boiler of a coal power plant, you're going to have steam. And if someone gets caught in the steam and gets burnt to shit, they're going to die. Hell, there have been steam explosions from coal plants hit by tsunamis. So, I think it's kind of bullshit that they count that many deaths from Fukushima. Because if you don't count those deaths from Fukushima, and you exclude the Soviet Union, functionally the number of deaths per year from nuclear power is 0. And functionally the number of deaths over the entire period from like the 60s or 70s to now, excluding the Soviet Union, is also 0. Unless you're counting 5 people crushed by tsunami's wave and 1 person that died due to flash steam. And 3 Mile Island is currently being converted into a what was it? It was not one of the AI hubs, but it was one of the massive server
farm
sites for the internet.
Yeah, a server farm.
Yep. So yeah, 3 Mile Island is currently being converted into a server farm.
All right, but I got a real serious question, all right?
Yep.
Now hear me out. With all the stuff we're putting on 3 Mile Island, is there a danger of it tipping over? I see the look on Samuel's face. I don't even know what Samuel looks like. I see the look on the same face. Like, why you ask that question? It was a legitimate question.
Sure.
Was it?
I was channeling my inner Hank Johnson, Hank Green. Was it Hank Green? It was a Hank. I don't remember what Hank it is, but it was a Hank.
Mm-hmm.
One of the Hanks.
Yeah, Guam's gonna tip over. Oh god, that is probably the dumbest thing I've heard.
Yeah, the Guam tipping, that was so special. And it's childish thinking because I remember being young and dumb enough. I was like 4, where I was going, wait, are islands floating? And then I looked at in one of the books that I had, because I had a bunch of picture books that were explaining science, because that's the kind of family that I was raised in.
Yeah, but even like you said, even as a child, you understood that that's not how any of that works. That's not how physics works, kid.
Yeah.
And for him to ask that question is, yeah,
it was one of those. Do you remember the see-through illustrated atlases?
Yes.
It was one of those, and it was on islands.
Ooh. Very nice.
And I remember flipping the water from the page of an island, shown from the side. And then it just shows that it's a massive fucking mountain. And I went, oh, that's not funny.
That's all continents are. Fucking massive mountains.
Yep.
Technically, we're on top of a mountain. Globally.
Mm-hmm.
Because technically we're he's an elected representative, but I still say Ted is the dumbest person in Congress.
One of them.
No. Ted Lewis still. Bozeman is no longer Congress. So
okay.
and neither is fucking just lost her seat Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah, Crockett's no longer. Yeah.
God, Jesus Christ, my brain.
Which one was it that was the? Is the internet like a bunch of tubes?
That might have been Crockett.
That might have been Lou. That sounds like a Lou. Lou. Crockett is the ghetto bitch, the fake ghetto girl.
Mm-hmm.
I might have to dip out early, folks.
Oh, not a problem. If you want, we've been going for about an hour and a half. We can do parting words. And
I don't want to
tomorrow. Oh, tonight. So.
Well, I mean, I don't want to cut you off, but
oh, that's no problem because Tyr normally has to work, and if both of you would be better served by getting some additional sleep, that's not an issue.
Yeah, I know I could use it. I mean, like that. We went for an hour and a half. That's think it was time to.
That's a good run, right? Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. See.
And it was kind of a natural conversation stop point.
Remember, kids, if you fuck up, Ted Lou's gonna come to your house and he's gonna talk to you for an hour.
I love you all. God bless. Take care.
And since you didn't steal my words,
if you're passionate about Sanguine, devour him. Don't let him devour you.
You have no choice. If I hunger, I shall feast. And I'll leave off with, I have no need of friends who change as I change or nod as I nod. After all, my shadow does that far better. And with that, have a good night, all. The zoo is closed.
Night.
Night.
Now I click this, but it takes a second, so